Hey guys, what's up, it's iFlynn here, and today we're going to be taking a look at Zaws in Warframe. Now before we jump into it, I just want you guys to keep in mind that everything that I show you in this video is subject to change, or there could be new stuff added in the future. For example, in the Venus open world map that we will hopefully be getting this year, there could be new Zaw parts that come up for then, so you may want to see if some of the Zaw parts that you buy from Hawk or get from other events up for different like open world tile sets or different events that may come by and give us more different Zaw parts. That doesn't make any sense, but just different Zaw parts in general. So number one question that I get asked on stream whenever I'm using a Zaw is what parts am I using, because my Zaw is very powerful, and this is the Plague Bachwin Plague Kripath Aquana Jai 2 combo. It's a polearm that you can see on my Genji roleplay type Warframe back. The only reason I'm playing is Genji. It's because I did it to piss off the Taylor because she doesn't like Genji mains. But guess what? Genji doesn't use a polearm, so in today's video, we're going to be making him a Nikana Zaw. Yeah, while also explaining like how Zaws work and stuff like that. So, yeah. So, based off what I just told you, with my Plague Kripath Bachwin Aquana Jai 2 polearm that I build for Maiming Strike Slide Crit, we go to Equipment, Arsenal. And then we take a look over here at my pineapple pizza. Trigger a name. It was a stream meme. You kind of had to be there. This is the build that I like to run on it. Could be better if I had like a Riven mod that I could replace Drifting Contact. So it give me, you know, my combo duration increase plus like, let's say, electric damage so I can make corrosive damage or something. That would give me more damage, or even just more melee damage in general, or more crit damage. Something along those lines, because the Plague Kripath has a free disposition, makes it so that you can get some pretty good rolls on your Rivens, okay? So getting a Riven is kind of essential to making your Zaws really insane. So yeah, with a Plague Zaw, which is what I'm running because of the Plague parts, you actually get base viral damage added on, so just more damage in general. Viral damage is good, reduces enemies' maximum health whenever it procs, so it makes it so that you usually sometimes want to go for like a hybrid. So like if you're going for a slide crit, you might want to throw a little bit of status chance in there so you can like burst down the enemy's health with a viral proc if you don't kill him with the initial slide attack, which, because Maiming Strike is still insanely broken at the minute, then chances of you not one-hitting an enemy is pretty slim, unless they have like augmented enemy armor or something. But again, topic for a different video. So this is the build that I run. Take a look at it, screenshot it, do the stuff. We're going to go ahead and make a Nikana Zaw while also explaining how Zaws work. So like I said, keep in mind, everything I show in this video is subject to change, and it might not be the best idea to just jump in and make your own Zaw. The Zaw that I have on my back at the minute, the one that I showed you, is probably one of the best Zaws in the game at the minute. So if I just go ahead, go to Equipment again, go to Arsenal, go to Equip, you can see Aquana Jai 2, Plague Bachwin, Plague Kripath. These are the parts that I'm using. And then that's it. That's just kind of confirmation for anyone who was unsure. So here we go. So this is Hawk. This is the guy where you buy all of your grips, your strikes, and your links from, because Zaws are made up of 3 parts, as you can see if we go ahead and we click Forge a Zaw. So we have a strike, which is kind of the blade, we have a grip, which is what you hold, and then we have a link, which is kind of like a weight, which affects the stats on your weapons. So you can make it so it might deal more status chance, or it might have a higher crit chance, or it might deal more slash damage over impact damage, or something along those lines, and it's all dependent on the weight that you use. So luckily for you guys, you can actually preview what you want to build before you go ahead and buy the parts for it. So if we go here, we're going to be building an Nikana Zaw, and this is the strike that you use to build an Nikana Zaw, right? So you can take a look through all these different blades, or strikes as they're called in game, and make different Zaws based on whatever. So this here one, the Bala, I usually use on daggers, but if you use a different grip, it'll actually make it a different weapon, right? So it turned it into a stave because we used a different type of grip. So the grip heavily determines what type of weapon it's going to be. So here's a dagger. Let's see if we can make something different. There's a dagger again. It's just dagger and stave really. But then if we change the blade up, if we were to use the core grip, but we changed it to the Miwan blade, we would make a sword instead of a dagger, right? So let's see if we use the Sepfan grip, we'd make a Nikana. Pretty cool, right? I'm going to be making a Plague Nikana, so I'm going to be using the Plague Aquin, sorry, not Bachwin, Aquin. I've been saying it wrong the whole time. Well, there's the Plague Bachwin. This is Plague Aquin. Pretty weird names, right? Confusing, I know. But yeah, this is the Nikana that we're going to be making. It's got a 1.12 attack speed. It has channeling damage of 1.5, crit chance of 6%, which is pretty low. Crit multiplier of 1.4, again, pretty low. Damage block of 80%, leap attack 100, spin attack 107, status 17%, and a wall attack of 107, as well as 5 impact, 12 puncture, and 32 slash. So, that might seem pretty underwhelming for just like this crazy weapon that you're going to spend a lot of resources building, right? But you level up to 31 time, then you come back here, you spend an additional 5,000 standing, and you guild it. Now, because mine is a Plague Saw, it's going to look a little bit different, right? But that increases the stats, as you can see. So we have a 16% crit chance, which is good if we want to build blood rush body count. Then we have a 27% status chance, which is, again, good because we have, we're going to have viral on here because it's a plague. Well, I don't think we'll have viral on here because it's a plague grip, and maybe the only reason that I have viral on the other one is because it was a plague strike, but that's besides the point. It's still pretty good, and the plague Aquin is probably one of the best grips that you can get at the minute, so that and the plague Aquin, but that's besides the point. So if we go in here, we can just go ahead and craft it again, different parts, like the plague Key War, it is a strike. We can use the plague Aquin, and then a link again, make a Steve. Pretty cool, right? But Plague Crit Path is probably one of the better strikes. So yeah, you can really just come in here, mess around with it, and make whatever you like. This here is a pretty good weapon as well. Aquana Jai 2, Sephan, stuff like that. If you don't have Plague stuff, just go ahead and mess around and see what fits your playstyle. Because honestly, the damage of Zaws is pretty insane as long as you're using the right links. And the right links you can find in Browse Wares, and if you scroll down, the links that cost like 10k standing, these are going to be the links that kind of have the biggest difference to your stats, so you get to choose between them. So we have the Vargeet Ruhang 2, which is a series of links for Zaws that increases the damage and critical chance at the cost of speed and status chance. So it's going to be a slower attacking weapon, but you're going to have more crit chance plus more base damage, right? But you're also going to have lower status chance as well, which might not be good depending on what type of build you're going for, because you can make like condition overload builds, which is for every status effect applied, you get more damage, which is pretty insane. That's besides the point. Let's move on. Aquana Ruhang 2, a series of links for Zaws that increase the damage and status chance at the cost of speed and crit chance. So there you go. That might be for a condition overload build. You want to apply a lot of status chance, deal more damage. This is the link for you. We have Vargeet Jai 2. Increases speed and critical chance. So if you want to have a crazy fast attacking weapon, pair it with Berserker. Crit weapon, here you go. At the cost of damage and status chance, but you're going to be dealing less damage. So find a way to up that damage. This might be good for like slide crit. But then again, if you're running slide crit, your maiming strike is giving you 90% flat crit chance. So you don't necessarily need crit chance. Thinking about that. Think about it. Thinking emoji, dude. Thinking emoji. Aquana Jai 2. A series of links for Zaws that increase the speed and status chance at the cost of damage and critical chance. So there you go. Faster attack speed, higher status chance, apply those status effects faster, might increase your DPS. Thinking emoji, dude. It's all about playing around with it and finding what works best for you and your playstyle. And that's something that I can't really stress enough. Obviously, there's going to be like the best setup, like the Plague Grip Path, the Plague Blockwind, and then, you know, whatever link of your choice. It's again down to your playstyle. The Zaw that I have crafted on my back, the one that I showed you at the start of the video, it's very versatile in the sense that you can build it for condition overload, you can build it for slide crit, you can build it for pretty much whatever, and that's what you should be aiming for with your Zaws, at least in my opinion. A good balance of both leaning towards the stats which you like to see in a weapon. So like I said, we're going to forge this out. We're going to make an Nikana Zaw. So the Sephan, the Plague Aquin for the grip. And then we can choose a link and we can mess around with it. So if we go ahead and preview guild it, we can see that with the Vargeet Ruhang 2, we get a 27% critical chance with a 16% status chance, which is pretty nice. And then we have an attack speed of 0.817. Or we can go with the Aquana Jai 2, which gives me a 1.12 attack speed, which might be nice, 16% critical chance, and a status chance of 27%. I think I prefer this one because I prefer the faster hitting weapons. Let's just go ahead and compare the damage though. So we actually get more damage with this type of build, but we have a lower status chance. So it's really down to what I prefer. So it's a faster hitting weapon, but we have a higher crit chance. Trying to make up my mind here as to what I want. I don't really know. I would say, yeah, I'm going to go with the Aquanagi 2 one, just because it gives me a faster attack speed. My crit chance is going to be increased by my Bloodrush body count. Having that status chance on there is going to be nice for just stripping armor and stuff like that. So, and then the lower damage, it's fine by me, dude. I'm obviously going to hit one-hit stuff anyway, so once I get my combo multiplier up. So, that's it. Guild it. Unguild it is going to be doo-doo. But, yeah, there you go. So, what we do, we go ahead and build this, and there we go. That's ours all crafted. So now we go back to our ship, we go ahead and we level it. So let's go to our orbiter. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this in the Hydron, we're going to level it, then we're going to go back to Mr. Hawk. So let's go, we type in Zaw on our search here. And then we look at this, and here you go. This is your Zaw. Now you can't customize it when it's ungilded, so that kind of sucks. But I'm just going to go ahead and level this now. I'm not going to show you guys the leveling process, obviously, because that would be rather boring for you to watch. But I'm going to go ahead, level it, guild it, and then level it again, because that's just how it works. Guilding kind of works like forming, and I'm going to show you guys the damage of the weapon in the simulacrum. So I'll jump right to that. Alright, so once you've leveled your ungilded Zaw to level 30 for the first time, you want to go ahead and go back to Hawk, speak to him, like we're going to do now, and then go to other services and press guild. So you just select it, double tap it, and now this lets you add on a polarity. We're going to add on a V polarity because I'm going to be throwing on prime pressure point. Just makes the most sense to me, at least. Press apply, and now you get to name it. So I was originally going to call this Dragon Blade to like go with the Genji cosplay, but D.E. Taylor said that that was a bad name and it was kind of unoriginal. So we're just going to go ahead and call it Mata Mata, because this name probably also isn't going to be good enough for D.E. Taylor. So just going to go ahead, press OK. And yes, we are sure we want to call it Mata Mata. And there we go. We just spent 5,000 standing plus, I think it was 2 Cetus Wisps. Let's go ahead and go to other services again. Yeah, so 2 Cetus Wisps plus 5,000 standing to guild a ungilded level 30 Zaw. So that's what you do with your Zaw. So I'm going to go ahead, level it, put a few more formulas onto it, and I'll show you the damage in the simulacrum. Alright, so as you can see, we are in the simulacrum, and I have my gilded Zaw on my Excalibur, and there's one major downside to this Zaw, and it's anytime I move, it actually like flips the handle, and it makes the blade come out of the hilt of the weapon. So it kind of just flips the entire thing, and it looks super weird, and I don't like it, and I hope the DE fix that, because otherwise this is a very badass looking weapon. You see the little tentacle things moving on the handle there if you look close enough, because of the infested grip, and then, you know, the blade itself just kind of looks badass. The hilt is pretty cool, and you have the links matching the color of all the sort of like metallic stuff in my Warframe, which looks pretty badass, right? So, you know, pretty awesome looking Nikana Zaw right here. So I should have mentioned at the beginning of the video, and excuse me if I didn't, the Nikana Zaws are just slightly worse than the Nikana Prime, but what makes like the Nikana Zaw good is the fact that it has a free disposition for its ribbons, right? So you can get a pretty good ribbon to kind of like make the damage of the Nikana Zaw better than that of the Nikana Primes if you get a good roll. So whenever you have a weapon that has a free disposition, it means you can get kind of mediocre rolls, but you can also get pretty good rolls, implying you get a negative value. So let's say, for example, we had 3 positive stats and 1 negative stat. The 3 positive stats would be of a higher value because we had that 1 negative stat. So what you're basically looking for whenever you're rolling basically any ribbon, right, is a negative that doesn't really matter too much. So for melees, it would be something like minus finisher damage, minus damage to infested, stuff like that. And then, you know, your positive stats, you're looking for melee damage, you're looking for crit damage, crit chance, maybe an element. It really depends. But what you should be really looking to do is like replacing a mod on your build, right? So, for example, on this build, like we have body count on here, and this gives me, you know, 12 seconds increased combo duration, right? This or Life Strike would kind of be the ideal mods to replace in this build. You could make the argument that maybe, hey, I shouldn't have Life Strike on at all if I want like optimal damage, which fair enough, just go ahead and replace Lifestrike. That way you don't have to replace any of your mods on your build. But let's say I wanted to keep Lifestrike on, right? If I wanted to keep Lifestrike on, then I would have to find a mod that would replace one of my mods right here. So you can't replace Blood Rush. You don't want to be replacing Berserker either, at least in my opinion. Prime Fever Strike, you definitely don't want to replace. Shocking Touch, you also don't want to replace, because these two mods actually give you more damage. So, you know, Pressure Point, it's going to be super hard to replace the Prime version of this. And even at that, you don't want to be replacing the regular version either, because it is just like a raw damage boost. You don't want to be replacing critical damage because, again, another just raw damage boost. So that kind of just leaves you a body count, right? So if I were to like think of a Riven that I would want for this, I would be aiming for something like, let's say, melee damage plus crit damage plus maybe attack speed, and then minus finisher damage or minus damage to infested. And then that would kind of be my ideal rule for ideal Riven for my Nikanas are right here. So I've kind of got the same thing on my play crit buff. So if we go ahead, type in pineapple pizza, I've just went ahead and replaced drifting contact, right? I have a lower status chance, but this allows me to actually make corrosive damage with this combo duration electricity Riven mod right here, right? So that way I have just a ton of damage, right? I have 30 impact, 77 puncture, 46 slash, my viral damage, of course, because it's a infested bleed, and then we have the 565 corrosive that I get from combining Prime Fever Strike plus this Riven mod right here, right? Because this is a slide crit build, and to make the slide crit build, like, there's a few mods on here which are pretty much essential, right? So, for example, Prime Pressure Point, essential. Prime Reach, you could replace this with a Riven if you're not that big into the melee range, but in a slide crit build, this is kind of essential. Berserker, essential. Prime Fever Strike, essential. Blood Rush, you just can't replace. Organ Shatter, you don't want to replace either. And then obviously you have that Maiming Strike on here, which will, slide attack has 90% chance to be a critical. Flat crit chance buff on every single slide attack, which is insane. And you can make that even more insane if you get a Riven, which also gives you that crit chance on slide attack, right? It would make it even more powerful because you have a higher crit chance. And I think on, like, let's say my Skoliak, for example, I think on my Skoliak, I have over like 1000% crit chance once my Maiming Strike, Skoliak, Riven plus my, what's it called, Blood Rush is calculated in. Like, my crit chance is actually insane on this. So it's a pretty insane build on my Skoliak right here. But that's the type of thing that you want to be aiming for, right? So I was just able to flat out replace my electric damage mod because of this really OP Riven right here. So Prime Fever Strike plus this Riven mod lets me make corrosive. Awesome, you know? So insane damage from that. So that's the type of thing that you'd be looking for on free disposition Rivens. So free positive values plus a negative value. Having that negative value on there makes it so that the positive values are actually higher. And then obviously getting those good rules, so melee damage, crit damage, attack speed, etc. Those are the type of things that you want to be going for. So enough of me talking. Let me actually show you guys the damage that this thing deals. So I'm going to be testing this versus a level 110 heavy gunner, and the reason I'm testing against a level 110 heavy gunner is because that is kind of like the highest level of enemy that you're going to come across whenever you're playing just casually, right? So you're going to be playing in the sorties, you might come across a level 110 armored enemy. This is how well this Zaw is going to do versus this particular enemy. So you could make the argument that with Excalibur, you actually have increased melee attack speed. So let's just go ahead and swap off Excalibur real quick and play... Actually, Gar will make it so that we get stealth attacks. Let's just go ahead and play Mag, because why not? And change the color there real quick. So awesome. There we go. And go ahead and melee this dude. So I'm using the blind justice stance, and we actually knocked the guy off the map. So 1 dirt per video. Let's bring that back. If you guys have been long watchers of the channel, yeah, that's the thing. So let's just go ahead and kill them again. The reason I don't want to pause the AI is because if you pause the AI, you actually get stealth bonus with melee. So let's just go ahead and stab at him normally. We're not going to use the blocking combo, but you can see that as we keep on meleeing him, our damage starts to build up, and we kill him, you know, relatively quick. Not the fastest in the game. You're definitely going to get more damage, you know, using like a condition overload legion or something, or using slide crit. But for a crit weapon, it killed that guy pretty fast, right? And obviously, whenever you're playing, you're not going to be like doing what I was doing right there. You're not just going to be doing your basic combo, you're going to be blocking and holding down and spamming. And this way, like, whenever you do your slam attack at the end of this Blind Justice combo, while blocking, that's actually a guaranteed crit. So that's going to allow you to proc your Berserker. And the more you melee, then the higher your crit chance is going to be, the more damage you're going to dish out. So if you just keep on meleeing, this weapon is going to deal some insane damage. So let's just go ahead and I'm going to swap up the stance. Now, swapping up the stance is actually going to be a detriment to the damage because, like I said, you get that guaranteed crit on holding down the right click and stuff like that. But let's use Tranquil Cleave, and we'll spawn in more heavy gunners just so we can build up our combo multiplier a little bit more, and then I can kind of show you guys the damage. So again, we are invincible, so let's just swipe away at the guy and watch the damage actually just build up. So we don't have those multi-hit combos in anymore, so he's gonna die a lot slower, but it'll give you a better idea of the damage numbers of the weapon. So you see it starts scaling up. We're in 2.9k, 3.2k, 3.4k right now. So the more you melee away at the guy, the more damage you're going to deal, especially in your crit hits and stuff like that. Obviously, the more armor you strip from them too, if you have a higher status chance on your Zaw, then you're going to deal even more damage, but they die pretty quickly. So we have a 3 times combo multiplier right now, so it's some decent damage, not insane. But that might be why you want to be, like, going for a status chance Zaw to strip away that enemy armor, if you are going to be using it up against, like, enemies that have a bunch of armor. Best case scenario, you're going to be running 4 times corrosive projection, and that'll make it so that, you know, that armor doesn't matter as much, so you can just run crit build plus viral, and they'll deal even more damage that way. But I hope that gave you guys a good idea of how powerful Zaws can actually be. In terms of polearms and swords and stuff like that, I think Zaws are currently best in class. Nikana's not so much, but Rivens definitely make the difference whenever it comes to modding your Zaws. So get a badass Riven, and your Zaw is going to be insane. Don't get a badass Riven, and a few Zaws will be mediocre. Some are still best in class. Like I said, the Steves and the swords, they're kind of best in class at the minute. So yeah, it's just kind of down to finding your own personal combination, finding what works for you and your playstyle. So for example, I like my fast attacking weapons because I usually play against lower level content because I'm helping newer players and stuff like that. So killing enemies as fast as possible with like fast melee strikes and stuff is kind of my playstyle, instead of the whole like status plus maybe slow attack speed plus crit whatever hybrid weapon. So I just prefer fast attacking Zaws or melee weapons in general, so that's why I build them. So it's up to you to find out what suits you and craft it and do your stuff and things. But anyway guys, that is going to be it for the video. If you liked it, go ahead, hit that like button below. If you disliked it, dislike it too. If you want to see more Warframe videos from me, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the little bell icon so you can be notified for whenever I post a video. I should post them every day at 6 p.m. 6 p.m. BST, 6 p.m. every day. Messed up my outro, but it's fine. But yeah, other than that guys, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.